For more than 4 decades, Voyager 2 has drifted through the abyss, carrying with it the whispers of Earth. Launched in 1977, it was never meant to become a legend. It was built as an emissary, a machine meant to study the outer planets, snap photographs, and then quietly fade into the silence of the stars. Most believed that once it crossed the last known orbit, its signal would grow faint, its transmissions would slow, and eventually, the vast distances of space would swallow its voice forever. But Voyager 2 didn't fade. It spoke. And what it said shook the confidence of those who had studied the universe their entire lives. When the spacecraft crossed the heliopause, the invisible frontier where the sun's influence ends and true interstellar space begins, something remarkable happened. For decades, scientists had described this edge as a soft, blurry transition. A region where the solar wind gradually thinned, fading into the interstellar medium like the mist on a fading horizon. But what Voyager 2 found was nothing like a mist. It was a wall. The transition was sudden, sharp, and violent. One moment, Voyager was inside the sun's protective bubble, a region where radiation is softened and space weather is tempered. The next, it was beyond it, in a realm where everything changed. Radiation levels surged by more than 70%. Plasma density spiked. The very architecture of the magnetic field around the craft shifted in ways no model had ever predicted. It was like opening a door and stepping into a different world. For scientists, this was no minor discovery. It meant that our solar system is not drifting loosely in the galaxy, exposed on all sides. It is wrapped in a shield. A vast, bubble-like fortress forged from the sun's magnetic winds. For decades, this idea had been only a theory, an elegant model drawn on chalkboards, described in lectures, debated in journals. But Voyager 2 proved it was real. The sun had been protecting us all along. Inside the heliosphere, cosmic rays are filtered, solar storms are manageable, and radiation is reduced to levels life on Earth can survive. Beyond it lies chaos, a wilderness of galactic storms and high-energy particles, the raw and violent environment of the galaxy itself. Voyager didn't just pass into that environment. It was slammed by it. What stunned researchers most was not just the existence of the boundary, but its precision. Instead of the hazy blending zone they had expected, the heliopause was sharp, distinct, like a membrane between two worlds. The smooth textbook diagrams were lies. Reality was jagged, exact, and terrifying. And there was something else. Voyager revealed that the heliosphere is alive. It breathes. It contracts and expands in rhythm with the sun's 11-year cycle. When solar activity rises, the shield thickens and pushes outward. When it weakens, the shield collapses inward, allowing more of the galaxy's radiation to creep into our cosmic neighborhood. Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 crossed the boundary at different times, at different places, and the distances didn't match. The differences weren't random. They were shaped by the sun's pulse. This meant that our shield, the very thing protecting Earth, was not permanent. It flexes. It shifts. And if it weakens too far, the cosmic storms of interstellar space could pour into our solar system unchecked. Then came something stranger. In 2019, Voyager 2 went silent. For a few hours, every instrument on board shut down. No commands were sent from Earth. No errors were logged in advance. It was as if the spacecraft had been swallowed whole. And then, just as suddenly, it came back. Rebooted. Recovered. Alive. The official explanation was simple: aging hardware, perhaps a small software glitch. After all, the probe was decades old. But in the technical notes, buried away in the language of engineers, there were details that didn't fit. Right before the blackout, Voyager recorded spikes in electromagnetic fields, bursts of particle energy, and strange surges that seemed to pulse across its instruments. Theories swirled. Some suggested Voyager had passed through a pocket of highly charged plasma, a ripple from a long-dead supernova. Others believed it was struck by a shockwave from some distant cosmic event. But a few quietly wondered whether Voyager had brushed against something no one had predicted, an unseen layer, a zone that was neither inside nor outside, a threshold between thresholds. And if that was true, the blackout wasn't a glitch. It was a reaction. After the crossing, Voyager's data revealed something even more unnerving. The space beyond the heliosphere wasn't silent. It was patterned. Voyager's detectors picked up fluctuations in radiation, magnetic fields that shifted like tides, and waves of high-energy particles. For decades, the idea of weather in deep space had been dismissed as a metaphor. But here it was, undeniable. Storms and currents in the interstellar sea. At first, scientists tried to link these patterns back to solar events. Coronal mass ejections. Solar flares. Explosions that echoed through space like ripples in a pond. But the timelines didn't match. The disturbances were coming from farther away. Some patterns aligned with the remains of ancient supernovas. Others seemed to echo the push of stellar winds from stars light years distant. It was as if Voyager had entered a living ocean, an unseen realm of turbulence where energy flows and invisible currents twist and collide. And it was unprotected, fully exposed for the first time in history. Then came the revelation that startled even the most cautious minds. Voyager had crossed into a region where the Sun's magnetic field aligned almost perfectly with the galactic field beyond. This should not have been possible. Models had long predicted chaos at the boundary, a clash of magnetic orientations, a twisted turbulence where the solar bubble tore against the galaxy's winds. Instead, the transition was seamless. Too seamless. Two explanations emerged. Either the Sun had slowly sculpted its surroundings over millions of years, bending the local galactic field into alignment. Or, and this was harder to accept, the region had always been aligned. That would mean the Sun's neighborhood in the galaxy was part of a larger magnetic harmony, one that extended far beyond what we could imagine. The implications were enormous. If magnetic fields were aligned, then cosmic rays and high-energy particles could pour more easily into our system, slipping along channels of invisible force. During quiet solar cycles, when the shield weakens, the galaxy's energy could enter like water through an open gate. It was no longer chaos. It was structure. The galaxy was not just random. It was ordered. And in that order, a whisper began to emerge. A thought so fragile that scientists spoke it only in private conversations, hesitant to put it in print. What if the heliosphere wasn't just a barrier? What if it was a checkpoint? The sharpness of the boundary. The smooth magnetic alignment. The repeating radiation spikes. They all suggested more than a natural line. They suggested something that acted like an interface. A place where entry is measured. Where crossing is noticed. No one claimed aliens. No one spoke of intelligent design. But the suspicion lingered. What if the boundary itself is reactive? What if every object that leaves the Sun's domain is registered by forces we cannot yet name? If that were true, then Voyager 2 did more than cross a threshold. It triggered it. It announced us. And attached to Voyager 2 is a golden record. A disc etched with greetings, music, sounds of Earth, diagrams, and, most critically, a map. A guide to our world. A set of instructions on how to find us. For decades, this was celebrated as humanity's greatest gesture of hope, a cosmic handshake extended to the stars. But in the shadow of Voyager's discoveries, the record now feels different. More dangerous. Because if the heliosphere is not a blur but a gate, if it reacts to what passes through, then Voyager's disk is not just a greeting. It is a beacon. We pierced the veil. And we left a map behind. Voyager 2 wasn't supposed to survive this long. It wasn't supposed to still be talking, still be sending back data that changes how we understand our place in the galaxy. Yet here it is, whispering across billions of miles, telling us that the universe is stranger, sharper, and far less forgiving than we ever believed. It has shown us that our solar system is not adrift in emptiness. It is encased, wrapped in a fragile shield. And beyond that shield lies a realm of storms and currents, of structures and alignments, of mysteries we were never prepared to face. The line between inside and outside isn't soft. It is sudden. It is precise. It is a gate. And so a question lingers, echoing in the silence where Voyager now drifts. Did we send out an explorer? Or did we send out a signal? And if something is listening, what will it hear first? The crackle of our instruments, or the golden